So good afternoon. Today's revision class, starting with the unit one, stones. So in this unit one revision class stones, we are going to be discussing about the properties of the stone, characteristics of the stones, classification of the stones, quarrying of the stone, dressing of the stones, tests on the stones. So this is the uh, uh, is the these are the topics we are going to be discussing in the unit one comes under the stones as a revision class. So the first we are going for the introductory part. So introductory part, why stones are important for the civil engineering constructions. The stone is going to be called as the one of the construction material that we are going to be using for the various civil engineering constructions. Apart from brick, apart from clay, and now the recent advancements is going to be called as cement concrete. So earlier in olden days, we started with the construction material as the clay. After that, it came as the stones. After that, brick is the material, construction material we use. After that, advent of the cement, we use the cement concrete as a building material for various constructions. That's why, as a civil engineer, we must understand or we must know about the properties of the stones. So the property of stones coming under classification of the stones, quarrying of the stones, dressing of the stones, and finally we know that the what are the tests that are conducted to know that the characteristics or the qualities of the stones. So first we discussed already the stone is going to be one of the construction material used for the various civil engineering constructions. So the stones are the natural occurring and compact, solid and massive material that makes the crust of the earth. So the stones have been used in all type of the construction since the time immemorial. So we saw that the stones, the construction of the pyramids in Egypt, Eiffel Tower, the Temple of Jagannath Puri, and the Taj Mahal, the Red Fort, and the Great Wall of China, and hundreds of historical buildings in each big country are made up of the stones. These are the examples where the stones we can able to use. Eiffel Tower, as well as pyramids of Egypt, Jagannath Puri, Taj Mahal, and Red Fort. Stone, timber, and clay had been the most commonly used materials right from the beginning of the civilization till the advent of the Portland cement. So we can able to see that the pictures of the pyramids of the Egypt, Taj Mahal, and the Great Wall of the China made with the stone. Then the classification of the stones. The classification of the stones is necessary to understand the properties of the stones. So actually the stones are coming from the parental material is going to be called as rocks. So the classification of the rocks, geological classification, physical classification, and as well as the chemical classification. Geological classification, under this classification, the rocks are classified as igneous, sedimentary, metamorphic. Similarly, under the physical classification, stratified rocks, unstratified rocks, and foliated rocks. Under chemical classification, siliceous, argillaceous rocks, and calcareous rocks. So the geological classification by nature, it is going to be by the natural. The formation of the rocks is going to become geological classification like igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic rocks. So igneous rocks, the Greek word igneous that is going to be called as a fire for the cooling of the magma or the lava natural process where the stones, the rocks are developed is going to be called as igneous rocks. All those rocks of the earth that have been formed by the natural process of cooling and crystallization from original hot and molten magma are grouped as igneous rocks. So they are the most abundant rocks in the crust when considered depth wise. So the igneous rocks is going to be further classified depending upon the depth of formation. So first is going to be called as plutonic rocks. The plutonic rocks is going to be formed at greater depths. Examples are granites and syenites and gabbros. These are formed at greater depth below the surface. Next is going to be called volcanic rocks. At the surface of the earth, from lava coming out of numerous volcanoes that erupt from time to time. So the examples coming under this are the common examples are going to be called as basalt and trap. Basalt and trap is the volcanic rock. Then the last classification is going to be called a hyperbasal rock. These are formed at shallow depths about 2 to 3 kilometers below the surface from magma that could not come out as a lava. So that are going to be called as classified as hyperbasal rocks. So this is rocks are the porphyries is coming examples of the hyperbasal rocks. Sedimentary rocks. Second classification is going to be called sedimentary rocks. Igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic rocks. Sedimentary rocks, by the sediment or the particle, this is going to be formed with the wind and as well as the water or the agencies that is going to be supporting or is going to be forming that the rocks in the form of sediments. Then it is going to be deposited through that the wind, deposited through that the water at various water bodies like seas, sea, and the river or the lake beds. That is going to be deposited for years together. That we are going to call as sedimentary rocks. Agents like wind, water, and ice and atmospheric gases. So the sedimentary rocks is the natural process of rocks disintegration called weathering and erosion, and these are the our sedimentary rocks are once again subclassified into clastic rocks, chemically formed rocks, and organically formed rocks. What are the clastic rocks? So clastic rocks are formed by deposition and consolidation and disintegrated sediments or fragments from the previous rocks in suitable river basins and lakes. The examples are the sandstones and breccias and conglomerates coming under these clastic rocks. They form very good type of building stone. Whatever the clastic rocks are available that are used for good building stones. Then sedimentary rocks comes under the chemically formed rocks. Chemically formed rocks is the precipitated from river, lake, and especially from seawater by evaporation. By evaporation process, the rocks are going to be developed. We are going to be called as chemically formed rocks. Examples are limestone and gypsum. So these are we are not going to be very less. We are going to be using into that the building stones, used as a building stone. Last one is going to be called as organic from formed sedimentary rock. So the 70% of the surface of the earth is covered with the water in the form of sea and oceans. So these are going to be formed. These are the organically formed sedimentary rocks. The best example of organically formed sedimentary rock is a great variety of limestones. Many sea animals have their hard parts made up of bones, which are a mixture of calcium and magnesium carbonates. These parts accumulate at proper places on the sea floor. Gradually, huge thickness of such deposits get formed and compacted and consolidated with passage of time is going to be called as organic formed sedimentary rocks. These are also very few of many massive types of limestones are best type of the building stones. Next, the metamorphic rocks under the physical geological classification. Last classification is metamorphism. Metamorphism is going to be, so we are going to be changing the parent rock by applying the temperature and pressure and the other formations where the rocks are formed is going to be called metamorphism. There is meta is change and morph is going to be called form. These are originally either igneous or sedimentary rocks. The process for their change under the influence increased temperature, pressure, and chemical environment possible for called is metamorphism. So when an existing rock gets subjected to increased temperature or changed stresses and chemical active fluids, it undergoes a slow but definite change in its original structure and chemical composition. The new rock formed is called metamorphic rock. So the examples of metamorphic rock is going to be called marble and slate. Marble and slate. And metamorphic rocks is by the temperature, by the application of the temperature, increasing pressure, and chemical active fluids are responsible for the formation of the metamorphism. Examples are marble, quartzite, gneiss, slate, and schist. And the first three rocks, so there's a marble, quartzite, gneiss, are the very good building stones in many cases. Last, slate and schist we are not going to be using as a building material. Now the second classification is going to be called as chemical classification. So rocks are classified according to the chemical processes is going to be called as siliceous rocks, argillaceous rocks, and calcareous rocks. Siliceous rocks is the prime in so prime material, the prime ingredient we are going to call as silica. Silica is the prime composition. So these rocks have silica SiO2 as the predominant component. That is more than 50% of the bulk composition of the rocks. So the natural they are classed are the strongest type of the building stones is the siliceous rocks. Examples are granites and sandstones. Chemical classification, there is the calcareous rocks. That is the in these rocks the dominant component is a carbonate, generally of calcium, but often with magnesium. Calcium and magnesium carbonates forming the rocks is called calcareous rocks, are the carbonate formation. Limestone and dolomite and marbles are entirely carbonate rocks. Limestone, dolomite, and marbles are entirely carbonate rocks, and all from good form good building stones. Next, last classification is going to be called as argillaceous rocks. Argillaceous is going to be called as clay. Is going to be called as predominant material. They are mostly sedimentary rocks having clay, hydrous aluminosilicates of potassium, sodium, calcium, magnesium, etc. as a dominant constituent. They are invariably soft and untrustworthy as a building stone, and untrustworthy as a building stones. Shales, slates, and chips are the examples. This we are not going to be using for the building material. We are not going to be using. So it's a very poor quality and a poor strength of argillaceous rocks because the prime constituent material is going to be called as a clay. Then the last classification of the rocks is structural classification. First is geological classification, chemical classification, then the structural classification. The structural classification is based on the structure of the rocks. That is going to be called as stratified, unstratified, and foliated. So in operant structures, the rock may either be found in the form of undifferentiated masses or they occur in very well-defined layers or the sheets. So they unstratified. Here we cannot able to see that without showing any layered structure. No layers is going to be visible. So igneous and many metamorphic rocks and some sedimentary rocks may have been occurring as a big masses. Granite and quartzite often occur in massive form. It doesn't have any layered structure of granite and as well as the quartzite. Comes under the unstratified rocks. Stratified rocks. Here we can able to see that the distinct layers of their different color and the composition. We can able to see that one. Their different layers are also called beds and are separated by planes of weakness called bedding planes. All sedimentary rocks comes under the stratified rocks. That is the sandstone, limestone comes under the sedimentary are called as stratified rocks. Then foliated. Very often a third group of rock is distinguished as foliated rocks in which there is a profuse development of well-defined band of different composition. Here different composition will be there. This is seen as a schist and gneiss. The foliated rocks do not yield building stone of good quality, do not yield because this is the poorest form of rock and the strength is very less when compared to the stratified and unstratified rocks. Then after understanding that the properties based on the formation of the rocks, from there we are going to be extracted is going to be called as the stones. So that the process we are going to be called as quarrying of the stone. Quarrying means from the parental material of rock, we are going to be extracted and made into the pieces and we are going to use it into the construction for the various purposes. We are going to be called as quarrying. It is known that stones occur in nature in the form of natural rock masses forming hills or walls of valleys are there. We are going to be separated. The process of extraction of suitable stones from their natural place of occurrence for use in construction is called quarrying. Then what are the methods of the quarrying? Quarrying is going to be done based on the without blasting and with blasting. Quarrying is going to be with blasting and without blasting. So without blasting is we are going for the soft rock material. We are going for the foliated rocks will be very soft rock. Then we are going for the using without blasting. If hard rocks, we are going to be having that examples are granites and quartzites. We have to go for by using the blasting material. So quarrying without blasting is going to be called as in this method, skilled persons remove the blocks of rocks from the places of occurrence. They may use hand tools or even light channelizing machines called channelizers, but no explosive materials used for breaking the stones. So methods of quarrying, second method is going to be called as quarrying by using the blasting. So this method involves of explosives for breaking the stones from very hard rock like quartzite, sandstones, basalts, traps, and non-ornamental granites. So the granites and quartzites and sandstones comes under this the hard rock, and for the from these hard rocks we are going to extracting the stones. So always we have to use that the blasting technique. The basic principle employed in this method is to explode a small quantity of an explosive at a calculated depth within the body of the rock. The force generated due to the explosion is sufficient to only create cracks. Cracks is going to be developed and then loosen the rock block of the good size. Quarrying by blasting. Then the first is we understand that the properties by using the various classifications of the rocks. Second is the quarrying of the stones from the parental rock. And then the third stage is going to be called the dressing of the stones. The term itself is going to be giving the meaning dressing, means according to the requirement, we have to be make sure that the stone is going to be have the required shape and size. Shape and size we have to frame, so that we are going to that process we are going to call it dressing of the stones. By dressing of the stones is meant the process of giving proper size, shape, and finish to the roughly broken stone and obtained from quarry. From the quarry, so we have to take it into the dressing area, and we are going to make sure that by using the chisel and as well as other accessories to get that the size and shape, required size and shape. This is done either manually or mechanically. There are the two methods are there, by using manual methods or by using mechanical, or in some cases using both the methods. Why the stone dressing of the stones will be required? What are the objectives? The first objective is that to reduce the size of the blocks to easily portable units. So we are going to be extracting from the parent intermediate rock, that is we have done the quarrying. From the quarrying, large size of the rocks are available. Then we have made it to the size. Then we are go for the dressing. So to give proper shape to the stone, the shape will be also done by using the dressing. And to obtain the pleasing appearance, the good finishes we are going to be provided. So these are the objectives why the dressing will be required. One is to reduce the size of the blocks to be transported easily. Another one is to give the proper shape, and third one is to get the finishing of the stones, and it is going to be giving the pleasing appearance, very good appearance. These are the dressing of the stones. And what are the various dressing of the stones? Are the various methods that we are going to be using. One is manually. Skilled workers can work wonders on suitable types of the stones with chisels and hammers and abrasives. That is manual methods by using chisel, hammer, and abrasives. Second method is going to be called mechanical methods or mechanical appliances. Special saw fitted machines can cut slabs and any other shape from rough rocks. They are called rock cutters. Rock cutters are used to go for the mechanical appliances. So this is going for the grinding and polishing machines also fitted with the wheels or discs with abrasives capable enough to give polish and fine finish to any desired degree. So this is the picture you can able to see that one is going to be called as manual dressing. Second one is going to be called mechanical dressing of the stone by using the rock cutters. Here the hammer and chisel is enough to get the manual dressing. Then the various forms of the dressing. The traditional dressing methods applied in manual dressing are described as below: pitched dressing, hammer dressing, chisel dressing, and rough tooling. What is the pitched dressing? In this method, only the edges of the block are leveled skillfully by use of hammers. Only edges only we are going to be make sure that get the proper shape. Hammer dressing, edge as well as the face, both. In previous pitched dressing, only edges, and in hammer dressing, edge and as well as the face. In chisel dressing, straight grooves are made with the help of chisel at all the four edges. And the rough tooling in the edges are first made square by using chisel and hammer. These are the four methods what we discussed is going to be called as the chisel dressing, pitch dressing, and hammer dressing. And punch dressing, closer picket fine tool dressing. That is depending upon how the finishing will be required. We have to go for the punch dressing. It is done on the stone that have been already been roughened. A series of parallel ridges are made on the stone surface using hammer and chisel. It is known as furrowed finish. Punching. Closed picked fine tooling. This is extreme type of dressing in which almost every type of projecting irregularity is removed from all four sides of the stones. Punch dressing and chisel dressing. Boasted finish dressing. The tools that we are going to be using for the quarrying: dipper, jumper for the boring effectively, priming tool, make the priming. So this is for maintain hole when the tamping is being done. Tamping bar, tamp the material while refilling the blast hose. And various quarrying tools is a wedge. A is the wedge, B is the pin, C is the hammer, D is the ratchet boring machine, E is the drill, F is the dipper, G is the tamping bar, H is the priming needle, I is the jumper, J is the crowbar. This is the crowbar, different type of the crowbar. K is the chisel pointed wedge, chisel by the pointed wedges. L is the claying iron. Last one is the L is the claying iron. Methods of stone quarrying, already we discussed that. Depends upon the type of the stone, its intended use, and the type of geological formation. So for example, when the rock formation consists of horizontal layers at shallow depth, we may be able to easily quarry them in layers. Shallow depth means very easy. In other words, if the stone is on one whole crystalline mass, we may blast them with explosives. Deeper depths, we have to go for the explosives. Methods of stone quarrying: quarrying with hand tools, quarrying by use of channeling machines, quarrying by blast. Hand tools, we discussed that these are an old method and are still used for soft stones. Hand tools and soft stones occurring in large or small blocks. They give well-shaped blocks for construction of masonry. Then quarrying by use of channelizing machines. In this method, the channeling machines are driven by steam or compression air we are going to be using. Electricity are used to make vertical or oblique grooves of channels on the rock mass. Channels means we are going for the cracking. Crack development by using the compressed air or by the steam or electricity. Make sure that we are going to be separating from the big rock marks. The process is the channels are cut around the stone block with the removed from the rock mass. Horizontal holes drilled beneath the block. The wedges are driven into the holes and the block is broken. Block is broken. The broken loose from its bed. Then separation of stone from the rock mass. Then quarrying by blasting. So the common method of all types of the rocks. The main purpose of the stone quarrying the stones by blasting are to loosen the large blocks of rocks and not to violently blow up the whole mass to convert into pieces. Following are the operations involved in the quarrying by blasting. What are the first we have to do the boring, then the charging, then tamping, then finally by going for the firing. Boring is the process of we are going to be inserting that the holes, blast holes of the required diameter and depth are made with jumper. By using the jumper, we have made the blast holes. A little water is poured into the hole at intervals of soften the stone. Then jumper is rotated each time it strikes the rock when the hole is drilled to the required depth. It is cleared of the debris by scraper or the spoon. If the holes are of the bigger size or if the rocks are of the harder variety, holes may be drilled by pneumatic or percussion drilling machine. Boring has done completed. We are giving the way to that to drill to deposit the explosive. Then we are going for the charging. The holes so drilled are dried thoroughly using a tag dried scraper at the end. Charging means gunpowder or gun cotton is put into the hole and grease priming the needle or fused cord is placed in the position. Once charging is done, then we have to go for tamping. Means we are going to be press it together and make sure that it is going to be giving a fuse mass. The hole is filled up with the damp clay and rounded hard with the help of tamping rod. The priming needle is kept rotating during the tamping operation to facilitate its withdrawn without disturbing the tampered clay. After the tamping operation is over, the priming needle is then taken out and 60 to 70% of the space is filled with the fine gunpowder. A slow fuse is inserted into the hole, keeping about 1 meter length of the fuse projecting out the blast hole. This will give sufficient time to the person firing it to move away from the safe place. Detonators are sometimes used in places of the fuse to explode the dynamite. So last one is going to be called as firing. The charge present in the blast holes is fired either with the help of match or with the help of electric spark. However, detonators are used when explosive or dynamite. So this is the diagram is going to be explaining you about that the how we are going by driven the bore, then we are going to be doing the charging, tamping, and finally we are going for the firing process.